I used to believe that life falls apart slowly, like sand slipping between fingers. But the night Olivia whispered, "Just let things unfold," I realized some fractures happen all at once, quietly, decisively, before you even understand what you're losing. That moment in the hotel bar didn't feel dangerous then. It felt like breathing after years of holding my lungs half empty. I didn't know that the decisions made in that hour would force me to confront every unspoken truth in my marriage. My name is Ethan Walker, and I've been married to Megan for 10 years, 10 years of shared groceries, shared debts, shared routines, and slowly diminishing conversations. We used to stay up until sunrise talking about our dreams. Now we rarely stayed awake in the same room. She worked 12-hour shifts at the hospital. I traveled for the company so often that hotel rooms started feeling more like home than our house in Ohio. We weren't fighting. We weren't even drifting. We were simply quiet. Too quiet. And then there was Olivia Carter. She entered my life without drama, simply sliding onto the bar stool beside mine while I reviewed my conference notes. She introduced herself with a calm confidence, the kind that made you unconsciously straighten your posture. Auburn hair, sharp eyes, a laugh that was warm without trying to charm. Everything about her felt intentional. Present. Awake. Qualities I hadn't felt in myself for a long time. "Long day?" she asked, tapping her finger against her glass as if she'd been waiting for someone to talk to. "You could say that," I answered. It should have stopped there, two strangers sharing polite conversation at a hotel bar. But Olivia didn't speak like a stranger. She asked questions that cut deeper than small talk had any right to. What do you miss about who you used to be? Do you still feel understood at home? Are you happy, Ethan, or just functioning? Those questions settled into me like stones dropped into deep water, their ripples spreading long after the conversation ended. For the first time in years, someone was asking me about me, not deadlines or travel plans. Not whether I picked up the dry cleaning or paid the electric bill. And the more she asked, the more aware I became of how long it had been since anyone, including myself, had done that. The central conflict didn't hit me all at once. It formed slowly, like a shadow stretching across the floor. I wasn't falling for Olivia, not yet. I was falling into a truth I had spent years avoiding. I had stopped showing up in my own marriage. And Megan, exhausted and overworked, had stopped noticing. As I left the bar that night, Olivia's words echoed after me, unsettling and irresistible. "Just let things unfold." I didn't know then that something already had. The next morning, I woke with the vague sensation of having crossed an invisible line, even though nothing overt had happened. Olivia hadn't touched me. I hadn't flirted. Yet something inside me felt rearranged, as if her questions had unlatched a door I'd been holding shut for years. I tried to shake it off as I dressed for the second day of the conference, telling myself it was just conversation, nothing more, nothing less. The hotel lobby buzzed with attendees, the kind of energetic chatter that made everyone seem purposeful except me. I blended in, coffee in hand, nodding at colleagues I barely knew. But beneath that surface, the real conflict simmered. I had become a spectator in my own life, and Olivia had been the first person to point it out without meaning to. During a leadership seminar on authentic communication, our instructor asked us to pair up and describe a moment we felt misunderstood in the past year. My assigned partner spoke immediately about his team not valuing his ideas. When it was my turn, I hesitated, feeling a knot tighten in my throat. "My wife and I stopped talking the way we used to," I admitted quietly. Somewhere along the line, the important things got replaced by schedules. The man nodded politely, but he didn't understand. How could he? Even I barely understood the extent of it until I said it aloud. The words felt heavy, like finally acknowledging a bruise you'd been ignoring. After the session, I stepped outside to breathe. That's when my phone buzzed. Megan. A photo from her break room popped up first, her holding a paper cup of weak hospital coffee, hair tucked messily under her cap, giving me a half-smile that was more exhaustion than joy. Beneath it, she typed, "Hope your day's going better than mine." I stared at the picture, feeling guilt slide into my chest. She wasn't the villain. She wasn't neglectful. She was tired from giving everyone more than she kept for herself. And somewhere along the way, I had stopped being one of the people she gave to. I texted back something supportive, something casual, something that didn't even scratch the truth I suddenly wanted to express. Hang in there. We'll talk when I get home. But would we? That was the question echoing beneath everything. When I returned inside, I spotted Olivia across the lobby. She wasn't looking for me, wasn't waiting, wasn't doing anything except reading her tablet while sipping tea. She didn't wave. She didn't motion me over. She just existed with a calm presence that contrasted sharply with the restless storm inside me. I should have walked the other way. Instead, my feet betrayed me, carrying me closer not out of desire, but out of the unsettling realization that she symbolized something I'd forgotten: attention, curiosity, connection. When she finally glanced up and met my eyes, her expression held no expectation. Just recognition. And that, somehow, was enough to keep me from turning back. Morning light crept through the kitchen blinds as Emma stood at the counter, hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't taken a single sip from. The quiet hum of the refrigerator felt louder than usual, filling the silence that neither she nor Liam had been able to break since dawn. He sat at the table, shoulders drawn up, eyes fixed on the cereal he had barely touched. His usual chatter was gone, replaced by an uneasy stillness that made Emma's chest tighten. She kept replaying the night over and over, Liam standing in her doorway, trembling, whispering words that didn't quite make sense. He had said someone was in the house. He had said he saw something near her room. Yet when she checked, every door had been locked, every window secure. Still, his fear had not looked imagined. "Liam," she said softly, testing his reaction. He lifted his gaze, hesitant, almost apologetic. "Honey, I need you to tell me exactly what you heard last night." He swallowed hard. I don't know if it was real," he whispered. "But I heard footsteps. Not yours. They stopped right outside your door." His voice cracked. "And I thought someone was talking." Emma's breath hitched. "Talking? What did they say?" He shook his head quickly, as if afraid of the memory itself. "Just whispers. I couldn't understand." A cold ripple slid down her spine. They were alone in the house. Had been for months. No roommate. No late visitors. And Liam had never lied to her, not like this, not with fear in his eyes. Before she could ask more, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. Both of them froze. Emma's heart leapt in her throat as she set her mug down carefully, forcing her footsteps to remain steady. When she opened the door, a man in a dark jacket stood on the porch, badge clipped to his belt. Officer Daniel Brooks, someone she vaguely recognized from town events, offered a polite but tight smile. "Ms. Hayes," he asked. "Sorry to show up unannounced, but I need to ask you a few questions regarding an incident reported on your street last night." Emma felt her heartbeat stutter. An incident? What kind of incident? Daniel's expression shifted, subtle, but unmistakable. "A neighbor reported seeing someone near your property around midnight. Someone who matched the description of a person we've been trying to locate." Behind her, Liam appeared in the hallway, eyes widening. Emma swallowed. Was this person dangerous? Daniel hesitated before answering. "We aren't sure yet. But we need to check your home. Just to be safe." The air tightened around them. Emma felt Liam move closer, gripping the back of her shirt. And for the first time since the night began unraveling, she wondered whether her son's fear hadn't been confusion at all. But a warning she hadn't understood in time. Officer Daniel stepped into the living room with a measured calm, his gaze sweeping across the space with the practiced precision of someone trained to notice what others overlooked. Emma watched him move, her fingers unconsciously curling into her palms. Liam stayed close, almost shadowing her steps, the unease in his posture revealing more than any words could. "Did either of you hear or see anything unusual?" Daniel asked, crouching briefly near the window to inspect the lock. Emma hesitated. She didn't want to burden Liam further, but silence felt like a risk she couldn't afford. "My son heard something last night," she said carefully. "Footsteps. Outside my door." Daniel glanced at Liam. "Is that true, buddy?" Liam nodded, but his eyes stayed fixed on the hallway, the same hallway he had stared down earlier, as if expecting something to emerge from the shadows. Daniel straightened, his tone now more focused. The neighbor wasn't specific about what they saw, but they reported movement in the dark. The timing matches what your son described. Emma's stomach tightened. Coincidence felt unlikely. Daniel continued his sweep of the house, checking rooms one by one. Each time a door opened, Emma felt her breath catch. Rationally, she knew no one could still be hiding inside. Emotionally, she felt the walls press in, every quiet corner suddenly ominous. When Daniel reached the end of the hall, he paused at the attic door. It was slightly ajar. Emma's heart lurched. "That wasn't open last night," she whispered. Daniel placed a finger over his lips, signaling silence. Then he grasped the pull cord slowly, easing the ladder down. The wooden steps creaked, the sound slicing through the tension. He climbed halfway before stopping to scan the space with his flashlight. After a long, heavy moment, he called down, "No one's here." But something is. He descended, holding a small object wrapped in dust, a tarnished silver key on a frayed black cord. Emma didn't recognize it. Liam stepped back, his breathing shallow. "Where did that come from?" Emma asked. Daniel turned the key over in his palm. It was placed right at the top of the ladder. As if someone wanted it found. A quiet dread threaded through the room. "Ms. Hayes," Daniel said, his voice low and deliberate, "has anyone else had access to your home recently? A contractor? A guest? Anyone with a reason to enter without your knowledge?" Emma shook her head. "No one. Just me and Liam." But as she spoke the words, a distant memory tugged at her, something she had brushed aside weeks ago. A repairman who showed up unannounced. A figure she had assumed the landlord sent. No receipt. No business card. No proof he was ever supposed to be there. Daniel noticed the shift in her expression. "You're remembering something." Emma nodded slowly, dread building. "Yes, and I don't think it was nothing." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we may have a bigger problem than we thought." Emma reached for Liam's hand, her voice barely steady. Because for the first time, she realized the danger wasn't outside the house. It had already been inside. Emma sat across from Officer Daniel at the dining table, the silver key resting between them like a question neither of them knew how to approach. Liam hovered nearby, pacing in small, restless movements, glancing toward the hallway every few seconds as though expecting something to shift in the shadows. Daniel tapped the key lightly. "If this was left intentionally, someone wanted you to find it and wanted you to feel a certain way when you did." "Threatened," Emma whispered. "Or warned." Daniel didn't disagree. "Do you remember anything specific about the man you said came to the house? Any details at all?" Emma pressed a hand to her forehead. The memory had grown foggy with time, blurred by the fact that she hadn't considered it important then. He was tall. Dark jacket. Quiet. He barely spoke. "I just assumed the landlord sent him to check the heating system." She exhaled shakily. "But the landlord said he hadn't sent anyone that week. I thought maybe I misunderstood." Daniel leaned forward, his expression sharpening. "And you didn't report it?" "I didn't think it mattered," she said, her voice breaking with regret. "He didn't do anything. He just walked through the house and left." Daniel nodded, understanding but clearly uneasy. Sometimes the absence of action is the action. Liam stopped pacing. "Mom," he said quietly, "what if he came back?" The words hit her like cold water. The house suddenly felt smaller, the walls tighter. Emma reached out and pulled Liam close, trying to keep her hands from shaking. "We're safe right now," she assured him, though even she felt the uncertainty in her voice. Daniel stood. "I want to check something outside, your back gate, the side entrance, anywhere someone could have slipped in." He paused, lowering his tone. "Don't open the door for anyone unless it's me." When he left, the house fell into a suffocating silence. Emma guided Liam to the couch, trying to focus on the steady rhythm of his breathing to keep her own grounding. But her mind raced. Someone had entered their home. Not once, possibly twice. And they weren't hiding their intentions anymore. A faint thud sounded from upstairs. Emma and Liam froze. Another sound followed, this time a soft, deliberate scrape, like something being dragged across the floorboards. Emma's pulse thundered in her ears. She grabbed her phone with trembling fingers and texted Daniel, "There's noise upstairs." Within seconds, his reply came, "Stay put. I'm coming in now." Emma pulled Liam into her side, both of them staring at the staircase as the quiet sounds continued overhead. Footsteps, slow, measured, unmistakably real, shifted across the ceiling. But when Daniel entered the front door moments later, calling out, "Emma? Liam?" the footsteps abruptly stopped. Not gradually. Not fading. They ended in a single, chilling instant. As if whoever was upstairs had been listening. And knew they were no longer alone. Officer Daniel moved swiftly toward the staircase, one hand raised in a silent command for Emma and Liam to stay back. His other hand hovered near his holster, not drawn yet, but ready. The house felt unnaturally still, as if holding its breath along with them. The silence upstairs was no comfort. It was the kind that followed movement, the kind that suggested someone had simply frozen in place. Emma gripped Liam's shoulders, guiding him behind her. She felt his heartbeat against her arm, quick, uneven, mirroring her own fear. Daniel ascended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate, the wood creaking beneath his weight. "This is Officer Brooks," he called out firmly. "If someone is up here, make yourself visible." Nothing answered. He reached the top landing and swept his flashlight across the hallway, checking each doorway. "I'm going to clear every room," he said, his voice steady but edged with caution. Emma waited at the bottom of the stairs, unable to look away. She heard the soft click of doors opening, the low scrape of something being moved, Daniel's measured footsteps moving from one room to another. Minutes stretched, each one heavier than the last, until finally he descended again. "No one's up there," he said. But his expression told another story entirely. It wasn't relief he wore, but unease. Emma swallowed hard. "You heard it too, right? The footsteps?" Daniel nodded. "Yes. And whoever, or whatever, made that noise didn't leave through a door or window. Everything's locked from the inside. That means either the sound came from something else," he hesitated, choosing his words carefully, "or someone found a way out we haven't located yet." Liam stepped closer, voice trembling. "Do you think he's hiding again?" Daniel crouched down to his level. "I won't let anything happen to you. That's why I'm going to do a full perimeter sweep and call in someone to check places I can't." Emma exhaled shakily, grateful for his presence but painfully aware of the growing danger. "What do you think they want from us?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he set the silver key on the entry table, the metal clinking softly. "Keys usually belong to something," he said. "A drawer. A box. A lock someone once opened. Or kept closed." Emma stared at it, dread pooling in her chest. "You think I'm supposed to use it?" "I think someone left it for a reason," Daniel replied. "And until we know what that reason is, I want you both out of this house for the night." Emma opened her mouth to protest. This was their home, their refuge, but a sudden cold draft brushed across her ankles. The back door was closed. The windows were sealed. The air should have been still. Daniel felt it too. He turned sharply toward the hallway, muscles tensing. Then, from upstairs, a single sound echoed, a soft, deliberate tap, as if something fragile had been placed on the floor. And Emma realized with chilling clarity. The intruder didn't need to hide. They wanted to be heard. Daniel was already moving before Emma could speak. He motioned for her and Liam to stay behind him, his posture sharp with heightened alertness. The house no longer felt like a place where memories lived, it felt like a maze someone else had been walking through long before they ever noticed the footsteps. Emma clutched Liam to her side, her breath trembling despite her attempt to stay composed. She didn't want him to sense how frightened she truly was, but his small hand tightening around hers told her he already knew. Daniel's voice was low, careful. "I'm going back up." That sound wasn't random. Emma nodded, though every part of her wanted to beg him not to. "Be careful," she whispered. He climbed again, sweeping his flashlight across the hallway. The beam caught something on the floor at the far end. Daniel approached slowly, knelt, and lifted it, a small envelope, cream-colored, impossibly clean as if it had never touched dust. "Emma," he called down, his tone shifting from caution to urgency. "You need to see this." She led Liam up the steps, heart hammering as she reached Daniel's side. He held the envelope out to her. Her name was handwritten across the front, not Emma, but Emmeline, a name only a few people from her past had ever used. People she no longer spoke to. People she never thought she'd see again. Her throat tightened. Where did this come from? Daniel glanced down the hall. It wasn't here when I cleared the rooms. Liam peered up at her. Mom, what does it mean? Emma tried to steady her voice. I don't know. But she did know. Or at least she feared she did. There was only one person who ever insisted on calling her Emmeline, even after she asked him to stop. A person who always claimed he knew her better than she knew herself. A person who was supposed to be gone, far from this town, far from this house. Daniel watched her face closely. You recognize it? Emma hesitated, then nodded. It's from someone I never wanted near my family. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then we take this seriously. He gestured toward the envelope. Open it, but slowly. Emma slid a finger under the flap, unfolding the paper inside. Her eyes skimmed the first lines, and her breath left her entirely. The letter wasn't a threat. It was a reminder. A reminder of something she'd hidden long before Liam was born. Something she thought she had erased. Something that, if revealed, would shatter the image she'd built of her life, her marriage, her family. Daniel read her expression instantly. Emma, he said quietly, whatever this is, it's not just about an intruder, is it? Emma swallowed, voice breaking. No. It's not. From downstairs, a new sound echoed, 3 slow knocks on the front door. Not rushed. Not frantic. Patient. As if the visitor already knew they would open it.